In this video, I'm going to teach you how to build a web app from scratch using Python and Flask. This quarantine, I built a web app where you can send your friends videos of cute dogs, maybe putting a smile on their face in these sad, desperate, trying times. There is a catch, however. This is actually doggo roulette, which means that every 9 out of 10 times you might get sent a dog video. But every 1 out of 10 times, you might get sent a dank meme. You can actually check out this website for yourself at dankmemesdoggodreams.pythonanywhere.com. If you're on the page, all you have to do is put in your name and an email, and it'll either send a dog video or a meme I found on Reddit to that email. So the very first step is actually installing Flask. So if you don't have that yet, you can do that by simply typing into terminal pip3 install Flask. Okay, so under the folder where we've created our project, we're just gonna create a new file called web.py. And in here, I'm just gonna paste my Flask template that I actually have in the description below. Let's see what happens if we just try to run this template. You can copy and paste these 2 lines that are commented out and try running those. Okay, so once we say Flask run, we'll see that this is actually running on our local host at port 5000. So if you copy and paste that and you open a new window, so if we just go to that URL in there, you'll see that it says hello world. And if we try changing that little bit to, let's say subscribe to Y cubed, and we save it, we actually have to restart this app. Here you actually have to enter something called lsoft-i, a colon, and 5000, because you actually have to kill whatever port that your app is running on. So whatever the PID is, you're gonna copy that and then say kill-9 and then that PID. And then you can run this again. So if we do that, and then we refresh the page, you'll see that it actually says what we asked it to say. So that's cool. We know that our app is running now. So how do we make it actually send an email? Well, I did a little bit of Googling, and turns out that in Flask, you can use a package called Flask Mail in order to send emails through something like Google. So we have to go through this installation process for Flask Mail, which is super easy. You just go to terminal, you can quit whatever you were running, and then all you have to do is pip3 install flask-mail. And then once you have that, you can go into your script, and you can, according to this website, you just need to import some stuff. So from Flask Mail, import mail, and then under app, where you define app, you're gonna define mail equals capital M, mail, app. So then in order to tell Flask which email to send it from, we have to define that somewhere. So after you say app equals Flask name, but before you define mail, this is where we are going to configure what mail server, port, username, password, stuff like that, so that we can log you into your Gmail account and then use that Gmail in order to send these emails. And here I hid my username and password so that you guys wouldn't be able to log into my email, but you can actually just type it in as a string right there. Let's give this a try. So when we first load this page, which is this route right here under this index function, we're just gonna send an email. Apparently all we have to do is define a message. So here we're gonna import mail, but we also have to import message. And then this message is gonna say hello, and the sender is gonna be from my username, so config.email for me. Again, you can just copy and paste if you want. And then recipients. Let's actually use like a fake inbox on Google to test this out. And all this should do is create a message with hello as a title. And we can define a body too. And let's just say body is testing. And then we have to send this message. We have to do mail.send message. And again, we're gonna kill whatever we were running. We go back over here and we refresh the page. So the first thing that we should notice after we refresh the page is that it still says subscribe to Y cubed. And the reason why that is because 1, you should subscribe, but 2, this function here, it returns what the page should say. And here, we've still set it to subscribe to Y cubed. But the only difference is that now if we check our temporary inbox, we should actually see a message from this email. And look at that, right here. I don't know what that is. But right here, this is our message. Now we know that we have the ability to send out an email. Now the next part is just designing the web page and doing some front-end code in HTML and CSS. I went to Figma and I just put pictures, created buttons. I basically just decided how I wanted my website to look. Now, once I had that, I could start on the HTML and CSS. So what I'm gonna do is under my project folder, I'm gonna create 2 new directories. One of them is called static, and this is where we're gonna hold our CSS files. And the other is gonna be called templates. And that's where I'm gonna have my HTML. Under templates, I'm gonna create a new file. And I'm just gonna call that main.html. And that's gonna be the HTML of our website. Under static, I'm gonna create a new directory and I'm gonna call it CSS. I'm gonna create a new file and I'm gonna call it main.css. Cool, so now I have my HTML and CSS files. How do I tell this website to access those? Well, I'm gonna comment out the sending the mail thing because we don't really need that right now. And then instead of returning this string, I'm gonna now render a template. So we've seen that Flask actually imports render template. So I'm just gonna return render template. We have a templates folder and basically Flask knows to look in that templates folder for rendering a template. So all we need is the file name here, which we named main.html. And under main.html, you can copy and paste the template that I've already provided for you in the description below. So here, basically what this is saying is this line here is telling the script that we're gonna find the CSS, which is the styling of all the elements in the HTML in this file here under CSS main.css, which we can find in the static folder. And then here under the body, this is what's actually gonna get displayed on the website. So now that web.py is rendering main.html, we should be able to see hello world, which is what we have right here. So once again, let's try restarting our Flask app. We go back and we refresh again. And you'll see that this is what we have from our HTML. So that works out perfectly. And now all I have to do is I'm gonna just start coding the HTML. All right, cool. So I'm not gonna show you guys exactly how I scripted all of this. I've included my code in the description below for the full web app, but I really suggest that you take advantage of this and code your own web app, use your own creativity, learn HTML, Google a ton of things if you don't know how to do it. Here's my code, and if we refresh our app, here's what it actually looks like. Here we have our header. You can enter your name, you can enter email, click send, and then all of this stuff. These are the buttons that I wanted, and then this is our footer, right? So the reason why it looks like this, and it looks pretty bad right now, is because we don't have any styling on it yet. So that's where CSS comes in. And what I'm actually gonna do is I'm gonna click inspect. And in Flask, I actually recommend that you do your CSS coding in Google and not in like the text editor, just because sometimes it doesn't refresh and then you'll get really frustrated because you won't be able to figure out whether or not what you're doing is actually doing anything. So if I click inspect and I go under sources, I'll see that here I have a blank CSS file for me. And I know that I called this thing up here my header. So if I type that in here, you'll actually notice that this makes a difference. See, I just added a 2-pixel red border around my header. And you can do that same thing for like site center. So now my site center has something around it, and then we can do that for the footnote. So going back to our code, how do we actually code this so that it sends the email to the person's actual input email? Well, you'll notice that in the HTML, we have something called a form. Basically in this form, we can assign it an action, and we'll call this send email, which is gonna come over here to web, and we can actually create another route. And what send email is gonna do in the form is it's gonna tell this route, hey, we're gonna send an email. And it's post because we're actually gonna give information to this route. And then we're going to define the function for it. And I'm just going to copy and paste this stuff over here. And we can access stuff from the form like this. You'll notice that request is not valid because we also have to import request up here with everything else. And then here, I'm gonna say the title could be, here's a cute dog maybe. Email is still gonna be the same. And then the body, here is a cute doggo. I'm gonna make a list of possible links, and then I'm gonna say that the link is something that we can choose from there. So we're gonna import random because we're gonna randomly choose a link. And then we're gonna randomly choose one from this list of links. And now this is the fun part. We're gonna go some link hunting. So I'm gonna go to Instagram.com and I'm gonna go to I Can't Even because I really like their dog videos. This is my favorite part, trying to actually find the things to send. And here we've randomly chosen the link. We're gonna send it to the email there. Send the message. Okay, now what do we do after that? Well, we want them to see the same template, right? So we're gonna put this on there. And actually, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put in another parameter that gives them a success message. So if you look at my HTML, you'll see that here, I have something called if success. And this success basically acts as a variable that I'm passing into the HTML. So here I can say success equals true. Here, I'm gonna say success equals false. And you'll notice one more thing. I also account for errors because we don't want people sending things to wrong emails, just erroring out, and then they get an error on the website, right? So here, we're gonna put this all in a try except and say, if there was an error, all we're gonna do is say the success was false, but the error is true. And we're gonna Flask run. If we click send, you'll notice that our error message actually pops up. There was an error, please try again. And also, I promise that the CSS is there. It's just Flask just like doesn't render the CSS every time, and you have to go and clear a lot of the things that are cached in your browser. But trust me, it's there. If you've saved it in your file, it's there. Once I'm happy with this, what I can do is go to pythonanywhere.com. You can make an account and you can sign in so that you can create a free web app using Python. And basically all you have to do is you can create a new web app and you can upload your files. And once you upload your files, direct the web app to those files where our web.py file is found. And once you have that, you can reload, you can click on it, and it'll be a successful web app that can send emails to the people that go to this web page. Basically, those are all the building blocks that I use in order to create my web app. And I didn't go through all the details because I wanted to give you guys some flexibility in creating your own type of web app. You can send literally whatever you want now. So if you're bored in quarantine, I would suggest giving this a try. It's a very cool project, it's pretty simple, and it's free. Creating your own web app is free if you use Python Anywhere. So thanks for watching. Make sure to give it a thumbs up if you like this video and show me what you guys made in the comments below.